Everybody, welcome to the Tuesday, April 30th SIG release weekly-ish meeting. My name is Jeremy, and I'll be the host today. It's been a few weeks since we've had one of these. If you haven't been here before, feel free to introduce yourself. But before we get going, just a quick reminder, this meeting is covered by the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which basically boils down to be excellent to one another. We're also going to record this, and it'll be available on YouTube for everybody that couldn't join us right now. I dropped the agenda into the chat. If you could add your name as an attendee, that would be super great. We also don't have a whole lot of agenda today, even though we haven't met for a few weeks. I think we're kind of in the lull between releases and it's slow time. People are traveling, so not a ton on the agenda today. I'll give an update on the patch releases. If we have anybody from the incoming release team, they can give us an update on the release team. I don't know.
We
Do
have
not.
the incoming
Oh,
release
sweet.
lead.
I didn't see you there. All right, great. That'll be awesome to hear. And then if anybody has anything else they'd like to add, please add it to the agenda in the open discussion section. All right. Anybody want to say hello or reintroduce themselves? They haven't been here for a while. All right. If not, we'll move on to some sub-project updates, and we'll start out with release engineering. So the only kind of like upcoming deadlines we've got for release engineering are the cherry pick deadlines. So if you're watching this and you're interested in getting cherry picks in for the May patch releases, which are scheduled for May 14th, the cherry pick deadline will be May 10th. No need to ping us to review those. We'll work through them. If we're getting close to the deadline, it's Friday and of 10th, and you have one that hasn't been merged, feel free to ping us, but don't need to rush and ping us to say, hey, I've got a cherry pick. We'll burn through those as we get closer to the deadline. Any special things you need, please reach out to SIG Release. The release management channel is a great place to talk about anything patch release related or tooling related if you see anything that's maybe needs to be updated there. I don't think we have any updates for the other three main focuses, the OBS, the supply chain security, or the artifact validation. So we'll move on past those and jump into the release team subproject.
So two things. One, I've moved the responsibility for collecting major themes from release notes to comms. If you are in this call and have not been in the project for an eternity, the fact that release notes did that is an artifact of the way the release team used to function before we really even had a blog. Before the release blog was a thing, certainly. So it's awkward and it feels out of place in release notes, and release notes didn't like doing it. So we moved it to comms where it belongs. I would like to merge release notes or what's left of it with docs for 132. Release notes now does not actually do much. Docs has a lot of space where they don't have anything to do after the docs freeze. And especially now that the issue with easy CLA is fixed and they don't have to run branch syncs twice a week. So personally, I think that fits really well, but I'm open to being argued with about it.
It seems like oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to give a little bit more of context. Back when James and me were in the release notes team, we actually brought a proposal to automate that, where people could just open PRs to add to the release notes, and that was not well received. So the branch is still somewhere there, but I mean, just for the mechanics of it, if it's helpful.
If you got that existing somewhere in the depths, I would love to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and let me do some archaeology. Probably it's still out
there. Okay. Thank you.
I was just going to say, I mean, I've not been on release team stuff for the past year or so, and certainly not heavily involved with release notes since like 120 back with Adolfo. But even back then, once we got the automation tooling to generate most of it, it felt that most of the job for release notes was really just run the tool and see if the tool breaks.
That's basically all that's left. That and like a couple of reach out to SIG leads and have them double check it. That's pretty much all that's left. Like it seems like a very, very low work team right now, which makes me feel like it's extraneous and that job can be handled by docs.
That's one from me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a logical next step.
Okay. I'll get to getting on the PR.
All right. Awesome. Angelos, do you want to give us a sneak peek of the 131 release?
Yeah, so the thing I wanted to mention was that I started the draft for the schedule for where the release is planned. I saw some comments that maybe we should not do the release on early September. Let's take it a bit earlier. So I've adjusted this to start on the week of May 20th and then get the release on after mid-August, around 22nd of August. If folks think that this is still too late, I guess we could even move this 1 week earlier. But I guess it then falls into the shadow selection program. There might be some, conflicts there. So if anyone has any opinions, I'm more than happy to keep having the discussion there. Otherwise, yeah. Nothing more to add really at this point.
I said this in the PR in a comment, but May 20th as a start date is fine. August 22nd as a target release date is also fine for me. Obviously pulling it in earlier is better if we can, but like it'll be tight if we pull it earlier because that we're already right at about 2 weeks for shadow selection, plus time to actually get the team set up. So starting any earlier than May 20th would be really tight. It would be difficult. It's doable, but it's difficult. So I don't want to do that unless we get a lot of pressure from SIG leads to do it. I am fine with May 20.
Yeah, last one for me. I would be available the week before that, so that works very well.
Yeah, this looks pretty good to me. Just looking over the dates.
Yeah, it doesn't conflict with anything weird. This isn't the release that runs into KubeCon, so and because it's no longer running into September, it's not going to run into Open Source Summit Europe. So, which would not be a blocker, obviously, because we just did it with 130 and Open Source NA, but
Have we started doing the shadow
the shadow
application?
application is supposed to go out this week. Priyanka said by the end of the week, and that gives us about 2 full work weeks to collect shadow applications. We are making some slight changes to the way the shadow application process works for this release. We are asking if the applicant is a student. And if they are, we are asking for additional information on what open source projects they work in outside of Kubernetes and any other like experiences they have professionally in their free time or academically that make them a fit for the release team. And we're going to try to only slot 1 student in per sub team for now. We're also going back, we're doing what was done for my release, which is not allowing sub-team leads to like straight up pick their shadows without input. They're going to turn over a short list of like 5 to 7 shadows, and then Angelos will get in a call with me and Grace, and we'll make the selections from there. James?
Just on the note of a schedule, I think that week of the release, the 22nd of August, is the week of KubeCon China, by the way. So if you have shadows in China, that might affect things, or well, not just shadows, anyone really.
Yeah, we won't have a sub-team lead in none of the sub-team leads are Chinese, but yeah, that's a good point. Interestingly, they're only expecting 1,000 attendees for KubeCon Hong Kong. So
Okay, might not be as big of an impact then.
yeah, apparently Chinese citizens, I didn't know this, need a pass, which is not quite a visa, but it is like official paperwork and a request to travel to Hong Kong. So
Cool.
yeah, they're expecting that to reduce numbers pretty significantly. Shanghai was about 2,000.
My other question with the vetting, does that mean that shadow applicants will be vetted twice? Because you're going to vet the initial list when it comes in, like we always did. Then there'll be a selection, and then there'll be another vetting stage.
Yeah,
Is that right?
pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had done that in the past too.
This is not new, yeah.
Yeah, the SIG leadership has typically taken a look at those in a lot of past releases.
Canned
cool.
coffee.
Any questions about 131? And I see we have Adolfo here, so I'll go to you next to see if you have any updates for supply chain security release engineering work.
Not for me. I just coming back from being absent like 2 weeks. Probably in the next weeks we'll have something. I don't know if someone else wants to has some updates, but not for me.
All right. Let's go to the open discussion items then. Looks like Joseph added a reminder for the artifact survey today. You want to give a quick shout out for that for anybody that watches the video?
Yeah, so today's the final day for us to, it's a 29 question kind of survey that we have been running for like the last month and a half. And the goal there was primarily to be able to, solicit feedback from those in our community that, are, the supply chain security practices, expectations of our Kubernetes released artifacts, with respect to like supply chain security. So those users who are using container images hosted at registry Kates within the binaries and tarballs and other system packages may want to chime in on this. So you still got a day left to do this. So get it in if you can. It would help us tremendously with our roadmap.
If anybody wants to boost that one more time on social media, that'd probably be appreciated.
Very much so.
Sure.
All right.
You a tweet.
I'll do the same. Cool. Anybody have any other topics they wanted to cover today? Otherwise, we'll call it a day early and give folks their evening or their mornings back. All right. Hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday and have a great week.
Everybody.
Bye.